Good evening, everyone. It's Dave Rubene from Twin Cities Media. I'm sitting here today for another track by track. We are delighted to have in studio Jake Kemble. We're going to be talking about a couple of new tracks that he's got, The Color Dark Blue and Uptight. Talk about some of the upcoming shows that he has, and let's find out what he's doing individually. So, Jake, thanks for stopping by today.
Yeah, really happy to be here.
So let's talk about let's dig into this. Let's dig into these tracks. The Color Dark Blue. Let's talk about the kind of branch off, right? I mean, you're mostly known for I guess previous frontman of Kick, and now you have Boomtown Riot going on, but you've kind of started doing some solo stuff, some individual stuff. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, The Color Dark Blue, that was kind of a song that I had been starting to write, and it didn't really fit anywhere in particular, and it just kind of ended up being something that I really had to record, and we went in and did it, and I just started doing the solo songs, and yeah, it just turned out how it did, and yeah.
So the song The Color Dark Blue, let's the inspiration behind that song, what kind of led you to The Color Dark Blue? What does it mean? Let's start off there.
So the idea behind it was I kind of wanted to write it to sort of shut off, the human mind from worry and from thinking of other things with a sort of euphoric experience. And it's kind of describing being somewhere sort of safe, away from your fears or your worries, whatever doesn't feel good, and really kind of just for 3 minutes and however long the song is, kind of just relaxing in an outer space world of music.
So the inspiration behind the song, did this come to you as part of some of the writing with Boomtown Riot, or did this come like in a kind of off period with the band where you wanted to kind of do some solo, you had some solo ideas?
Let's see, yeah, this came about, actually no, I was living in an apartment on Snelling, and I was sitting on the ground or something on this wood floor, and I have a friend in a band called Eagle Trace, and I was, for some reason, I don't know why, I was kind of thinking of the frontman, the singer, and I was thinking about those guys in general. I don't remember why, but then that hook, "Wake Me When the Lights Go Down," kind of popped into my head, and it was kind of almost inspired, I would say, by that singer. His name's Mitch. I don't know what the connection is. That's kind of just where it came from in general, and then I kind of just finished it, So
the song itself, with the music that kind of came along with putting the music together, the lyrics. I mean, obviously you're coming up with the lyrics. You have kind of the song in your head, laying it down in the studio. What was the process like there?
So let's see. So Adam Saponiak and I, we went in, and I showed him a demo that I had, and it was kind of just, it was on a Boss loop station, one of those Boss red loop stations, and I was able to loop the guitars, those individual kind of chunking, palm muted guitars, and I said, "Hey, this is an idea, like, what do you think of this?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." I called him out of the blue one day, and it had been a while since I've seen him, and so we got together and we recorded it, and let's see, then, so in the studio the first thing we did was the guitars, got those sounding the way that we wanted to, and then we did So I did the guitars and then the vocals, and then Adam then laid in all the synth sounds and the electronic drums and the all the extra stuff. And so yeah, started raw, and then it ended up with the electronics and such.
Awesome. Well, let's give a listen to some of the track and see how it goes.
Cool.
New life is coming on, so I'll describe it with a song in the color dark blue. I was dreaming I was in your arms, in the ocean where the waves were warm, where the sun could shine through. Free falling through the one-track mind, reveling in the deep confines, just waiting for you. So wake me when the lights go, wake me when the lights go, wake me when the lights go, wake me when the lights go down. Wake me when the lights go, wake me when the lights go, wake me when the lights go, wake me when the lights go down. Can you wake me when the lights go down?
And that was the Color Dark Blue by Jake Kemble. We got him in here in studio talking on track by track. He's now been doing on a kind of a solo venture. So the Color Dark Blue, I mean, there's definitely some elements there that are very unique. You know, I think kind of as we were listening to the song, we were kind of chatting a little bit as well on some of the, I don't know, just the word indie, right? When it comes to mind, there's so many different variations of indie, and you know, so many little sub pieces to the indie genre. Where do you see it? Where do you see this fitting? I mean, you know, where do you see it musically fitting?
I really see it fitting in pop music. I think it has, you know, enough of what is truly popular, you know, the rhythm and the synth sounds, and but it's also, you know, rock and rock guitars, and so I suppose pop rock.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it. What's been the reception? What's been the reception like? Have you played this? Have you played this live?
This song here.
Yep.
I have once. The reception of this one. Let's see. It did have. I believe that it did. To the audience that it was played for, I think it did have somewhat of the euphoric experience that I was going for, transferred to the audience. You know, even as the one, you know, with the one person, you know, playing all the instruments.
Right.
And that's really what I was, you know, I mentioned earlier, it was intended in the song was to kind of, you know, make people feel, you know, in a sense, you know, well, you know, feel like, you know, not worrying about things, and, you know, and that's, yeah, the reception was, I suppose, that.
It's interesting, as I listen to it, I can see this appealing to definitely kind of a couple of different levels, right? It could easily appeal to the teens and to a very young crowd, called the teen/college crowd.
Sure.
You know, but then I can also see it appealing to a little bit older crowd, because of, I don't know, just because of the musical flow. You know, it's got that element in there of almost. I keep wanting to use the word magic. It's got that element of magic in there. You know, it has a very soothing effect as you're listening to it, but it also has kind of that kind of pop vibe, where you're kind of grooving into it. You know, and it also has an element there where it's sticking in your head, right?
Yeah, you know, I imagine what I'm going to be like playing it when I am, you know, 60, 70.
Right.
You know, so that's definitely part of the thought process in my creative process is, you know, how am I going to like this when I'm, you know, 80,
right?
You know, 80 years old, you know, playing music. And
right. And, you know, I even can see it, and I'm not sure if you intended it this way, but I could even see it being played acoustically. where it's something very, very almost quiet and very personal. Without any of the synthesizers, without anything else, just an acoustic. It definitely has that vibe.
Cool.
So it's nice.
Thanks.
So let's talk about the next track.
Yeah.
Which I think is very different, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like the two bookends.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Uptight.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration behind the song Uptight?
Let's see. Yeah. Adam Saponiak, my good friend that I had mentioned, that I called out of the blue and said, "Hey," it was funny because I called and he's like, he's like, "Hey, did you mean to call me?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just catching up and seeing how you're doing." But anyways, the inspiration behind Uptight was, he Adam expressed that he was really into he called it the electro groove sort of genre, and he had showed me a couple of the different songs in that genre, and I was kind of going, "Yeah, this is really cool, and it's groovy. I like it. It makes me move and feel good." And so that's the main inspiration, really, is my friend Adam.
Interesting. Well, let's give it a quick listen.
Cool.
Yep.
One love that's so alive, one love that cannot die, one love that the dreamers dream, and one love I believe. One love that's so surreal, one love that you can feel, one love that's a flash of light, one love to burn out bright, one love for the boys and girls, one love to change the world, one love that's a raging sea, for one love I have been uptight, uptight. For one love I have been uptight, uptight. And I've been dreaming, I've been dreaming. One love is shaking rattle, one love to lead the battle, one love that I know is real, one love that you can't steal, one love that I would die, one love that makes me cry, one love that I've let in, for one love I have been uptight, uptight. And I've been dreaming, I've been dreaming, one love I have been uptight, uptight.
And that was Uptight by Jake Kemble. Here we've got Jake in the studio talking through another track by track, going through a couple of the solo releases that Jake is pursuing. So with Uptight, is this going to be part of an EP?
No, it's really just single songs, and a music video about monthly or bi-monthly, whenever I can be putting them out.
Okay. So the inspiration behind Uptight and kind of putting this together, it's definitely has this like really, really that kind of electronic pop vibe, and I think I mentioned to you, again, while the music was playing, it was really, it really has you kind of start to groove. You kind of get into this groove, and it's just like your body wants to move, and is that what you were trying to achieve with the song itself?
Yeah. I really want, I want the live show to be an experience where people can, they can just either take it in, from a distance, or they can be, dancing and, moving. And like last night, for instance, I was playing, I played that song, and, people were, it had the grooving, the beat, and people were just really, I was able to let the loops, go and play, and for an extended amount of time, and I was doing a lot of guitar shredding, and it just, people just dance, and then that's fun for me, and it keeps me excited, and keeps the music flowing, and that was the intention for that one, is
right.
to get it, make that be as upbeat and exciting as possible, and yeah.
So let's talk about your live performances a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I think I've kind of shot you. You know, we've kind of covered you a lot in various forms, and I say various forms because you know, again, you were the front man for Kick, and I think that's the first time that I think we really had exposure to you. And then you were also Boomtown Riot. You know, was kind of the next evolution of you know where you wanted to be with the band and things like that, and now solo. But one thing I've noticed with, you know, all your live performances is there's this element of showmanship that is, it's almost unpredictable. It's like depending on the evening, depending on the vibe, there's a different Jake that hits the stage, and it's actually a really good thing because it keeps it very fresh. It keeps it very alive. You bring to the stage this element of energy that, you know, tends to build on stage and then just all of a sudden just releases, and it's typically transferred right to the crowd, you know, and they pick it up. The normal response from the crowd is they're just totally into it. They totally get into, you know, your vibe. So with that, I guess the question I would have is, how, you know, is that the type of energy that you're wanting to convey, you know, to the crowd? And I guess the second part to that is, where does that come from? You know?
Yeah, with the live performance, I would say that, you know, my main goal behind the live performance is always to put out an experience of fun. You know, I'm trying to make sure people are having fun and kind of, you know, let them lose it a little bit and just have a good time and just have different songs every time. And let's see, the question was, where does it come from?
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes from my general wanting for everyone to just be happy, I guess.
Right.
You know, sort of wanting that, just a fun, happy experience.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it definitely translates that way.
That's
right?
good. That's great. That's good.
It really,
I'm glad.
It really does. And you know, I think I mentioned before that, just a great example with Kick, you know, there was like this element of energy that would build, and then all of a sudden it would release, and it would release either musically with, you know, the crowd responding, you know, with kind of this fanatic, you know, response, or they would be, you know, moshing or you know, they would be like jumping up and down, grooving with
climbing on each other.
Yeah, climbing on each other,
Yeah.
jumping on the stage, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
And then there was also the release of you on stage, right, with you jumping in the air, you know, in this spectacular burst of energy, just like, you know, would just like lift you, you know. So it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing to see, you know, just a local artist, you know, that really has the potential to branch out and really put on these big shoes, you know, and groove with, you know, I would say groove with like huge crowd responses. You know, it's actually really cool to see.
Thank you.
Really cool to see. So what's next? I mean, what's coming next? I mean, if we were to look, you know, 6 months from now, you know, what do things look like for you know, for Jake Kemble?
So yeah, one thing that I'm really excited about is that I'm going into the studio with a producer. His name's Brandon Darner. He's a record producer who's done work with Imagine Dragons, Bright Giant, and the Holy White Hounds. He was in Slipknot. So we're going to go in and cut a single and a new music video, and that's coming up here at the end of May. So release probably mid-June. release mid-June, and then a lot of Midwest dates this summer. A lot of Midwest dates, and I'm going to be hitting the East Coast, going to Seattle, and probably a couple other dates around that area. In a lot of shows, they're just coming in more and more every day, and I just am going to be really hitting the road and going.
So as far as backing, are you going to be just doing total solo, just you looping, different effects, things like that, more solo type of shows, or do you have some ideas of having other backing artists, things like that?
As far as I know, for the next at least year, it's going to be a solo show, which means it's going to be looping electronic drums, and then I'll get up and loop synth sounds with the guitar, and then build up a really exciting rock and roll experience at these shows, and really just build up an exciting scene, and it's been fun to just work it out,
So I know that you mentioned there's a new video coming out, I believe Tuesday.
Yeah.
So what's the name of the song that one's going to be released for?
So that song is going to be called "While I've Got You by the Ear."
Okay.
And it's a sort of ballad. We recorded a music video for it at the Lake Calhoun Square.
Okay.
And it's got kind of a funny story. We were someone told me that there was a public piano there, and so I popped in there, and Jeff Noller, he's from Skittish, so Jeff and I went in and we shot this video, and we kind of moved this piano around, and it was painted all purple for Prince, and but someone kind of comes by while we're mid video shoot, and like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "We're recording a video," and apparently we weren't supposed to move it, but so it's basic. It's kind of a piano ballad, electric music piano ballad, pop song that is going to be coming out with kind of a trippy psychedelic video.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Looking forward to that.
Thanks.
So,
yeah.
What about upcoming shows?
Yeah, upcoming shows. If you go to my website, you'll see tons of Midwest dates right now, and it's going to be. I'm really excited to be supporting a group called Magic Sword at 7th Street Entry on June 13th. That one's coming up. Really, really happy about that. Thanks, Eli, if you're listening. Let's see. Yeah, tons of Midwest stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have some shows down in Des Moines too, right?
Yep. So, Thursday, June 28th, we're going to be at the Vaudeville Muse for an early show. It's an all ages. All ages are welcome. It's going to be Jake Kemble and the Missing Letters. It's going to be good.
Cool. Very cool. Well, it's great. So if people want to find out kind of more about what you're doing and upcoming shows, new music, things like that, what's the best place that they can kind of find out and follow?
I post the most on Instagram.
Okay.
Tons and tons of Instagram stuff, and that's Jake Kemble's music. And you can also find a full show calendar on my website at jakekemble.com. I think that's the best way to follow. Monthly music videos for the most part. Monthly, bi-monthly, and that's kind of my promise, I guess.
Okay.
So
great. Well, I would say that let's have you definitely come back.
Yeah.
And when you have some more tracks, would definitely love to sit down and talk about them, and let's go through them and give everyone kind of some insight into what's going on.
Yeah, I'll come back when I'm dressed a little nicer.
There we go. There we go. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks very much for coming in. And again, this has been Track by Track with Jake Kemble. catch his new releases. They are available electronically. I'm actually looking at them here on iTunes, but they're more than likely available.
Everywhere.
It's just about everywhere.
Everywhere,
right?
yeah.
Spotify.
Truly, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake, for coming in.
Yeah, thank you, David. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
One love that's so alive, one love that cannot die, one love that the dreamers dream, and one love I believe. One love that's so surreal, one love that you can feel, one love that's a flash of light, one love to burn out bright, one love for the boys and girls, one love to change the world, one love that's a raging